Similar to all of us, and I'm going to include myself in this, the department has from time to time failed. It has stumbled and fallen occasionally throughout history.
The Boston Police Commissioner is saying he does rely on federal funding to fight crime, and he says he hopes that continues. On OTR, Commissioner Michael Cox touting Boston as the safest major city in America, adding partnerships like those with the federal government all play a role in keeping crime down. President Trump has been cracking down on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives as well, signing an executive order ending DEI programs within the federal government. Commissioner Cox says in policing, DEI does matter.
It's really important, and I think it shows up in how we do our job every single day.
He says merit-based hiring is part of every process, adding he agrees with studies showing DEI is helpful.
In business studies, diverse groups, teams tend to make better decisions, and actually, even in the private sector, they tend to do better.
Welcome back to our conversation with Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox. And now it's time for City Lines, 5 words or less. So here's what's going to happen. We ask you a question and you answer in 5 words or less. Okay, ready? All right, now you grew up in Roxbury near Dudley, now Nubian Square. What 5 words would you use to describe the neighborhood now?
Changing.
You're going to win $100,000.
Okay, all right. Changing, historic, home. It's beautiful. And that's it. I'm going to go with those right there.
That's right. That's great. Now, you were spotted at a few NAACP convention events. I ran into you there at the Hub. Tell us in 5 words what you think the convention meant for the city of Boston.
Beautiful. Reckoning, in a sense. Changing again. Yes. It's the same word again. And it was hopeful.
Hopeful, yeah. I heard a lot of people saying hopeful.
Yeah, and proud.
Mm-hmm. Proud, yes,
yeah.
yes.
To me, I was proud. So.
Yes, I felt that as well.
Yes.
I felt that as well. What are 5 things you want kids to remember as they head back to school? Behave.
Number 1, behave. Work hard. Those 2 words.
Follow the rules. You're going to win $100,000.
Okay, all right. Rules and fun.
Okay. Fun. Yeah, fun. That's good. What are the 5 words you want new officers on the force to keep in mind?
Mission, community, trust, partnership.
Future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
And friendship.
Now, it's interesting. Of all of our 5 words, you had the easiest time spitting those out because that's your culture.
That's right.
That's your police culture, right? Okay.
There it is.
So, in 5 words or less, what's the best part of the commissioner's job?
People.
Okay, I ain't even gonna flex this Sunday.
Community.
But one day, you gonna put this tape.
Car service?
Gonna buy.
Car service? What's that? Oh, you mean getting driven? Oh,
Yeah.
I got you.
People, community.
Do or die for life.
Problem solving.
Problem solving. Yeah, an opportunity to problem solve and make the city better. Yeah.
In partnerships.
So you've been on the job for just over a year now.
Yes.
How do you think the city's changed?
The city's more diverse than ever before. We're a better city, crime-wise, even though it doesn't seem like it, but we have different issues than we might have had before. But the world is changing so much so. And
more work ahead.
a lot more work.
Okay, Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox.
Big breaking news story in Boston today. The appointment of the city's brand new police commissioner. The department has been without a permanent leader for 13 months. WBZ has more on the background of Michael Cox and why the mayor felt he was best for the job.
The nation's oldest police force officially has a new commissioner.
Today I'm excited to introduce Michael Cox as the leader for the Boston Police that our department, our city, and our communities need in this very consequential moment.
Mayor Michelle Wu announcing Michael Cox as the new top cop in Boston, more than 13 months after the city's last police commissioner was fired. Commissioner Cox was selected by a search committee that looked nationwide for the next person to lead BPD.
It has taken us a while to get here. And I don't just mean the long 7 months for our search committee, hosting a thorough and diligent process grounded in community with hundreds of Boston residents weighing in on this very important decision. It has taken us a long time to get here as a city. To a day when a young boy growing up in Roxbury, playing here in this very park, could rise up in the ranks serving his community, gain important leadership experience in another city, then return home to become the next commissioner for the Boston Police Department.
Cox comes back to Boston from Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he served as chief of police since 2019. Prior to that, he descended the ranks of BPD, starting in 1989, eventually becoming a superintendent.
Feedback from our communities to hear and own when we've done wrong.
He's got 30 years experience with the department and had one particular experience that made him sue the very police force that he'll now be in charge of. New Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox says he is now ready for the future.
And it's an incident in his past when he was beaten by fellow officers that's helped shape his policies.
It was a case of mistaken identity when Officer Cox was beaten by fellow Boston police officers when he worked here back in 1995. Now, rather than making him quit, he explained that that experience actually reinforced how he believes in community policing.
The police department needs to look like the communities in which we serve. We need each other, and we need to be around people, and officers need to get out of the cars and start to move around and actually engage residents.
The search for a new commissioner has been more than a year long after the former commissioner was pushed out amid domestic abuse allegations. Cox, a Roxbury native, served as a Boston police officer for 30 years before taking the chief job in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
3 Boston police officers were slightly injured.
Cox is best known for what happened to him at the hands of Boston police in 1995 when he was on an undercover detail. Boston police officers mistook him for a suspect and beat him.
And 2 of the officers involved in that 1995 incident are still on the department here in Boston.
These were fellow officers. These were your colleagues that did this to you.
Yes.
He was left on the ground until members of his own unit arrived and called for EMS.
I was kind of left out there, and I couldn't understand, why a person would or people would do that. I'm sure I didn't put up any resistance.
But Michael, who suffered head injuries and kidney damage, says the department put up plenty of resistance and tried to cover up what happened.
Nobody was found responsible in any way for, the criminal activity that occurred.
And it didn't end there. Late-night threatening phone calls and slashed tires, just some of what Michael says his family was subjected to at the hands of the police.
Cox says the department tried to silence him, but he persevered.
It was clear that, these people wanted me gone. I was like, this is not going to stop. Even if I leave, it's not going to stop.
You stayed with the department.
Yes.
Cox won a civil rights lawsuit against the city and department, a police unit he'll now be in charge of. As communities call for police reform, he says his experience makes him the right person for this job.
I think there's a need for it now, so people understand that there's people in police departments that get it. I get it in every level. I've been both a victim, I'm a person of color. I know I've seen, what it's like, in departments when they fail.
Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox has a unique perspective on policing and says he understands the community and the challenges as a person of color who, as Beth mentioned, was mistaken as a suspect years ago. Now, he rarely speaks about that incident, but in 2020, he sat down to talk more about what happened. That was unforgettable.
It was unforgettable, Lisa. Now, none of the officers who participated in that beating were ever charged in the case, and the I-Team has learned 2 2 other officers involved in the incident are still with the department.
When the hitting and beating was going on, someone said, "Stop, he's a cop."
It happened in January of 1995. Michael Cox was a Boston police officer working in plain clothes when he and his partner got a radio call about a shooting and saw the getaway car.
I got out the car and chased him behind one of the subjects who jumped up and over the fence.
Cox climbed the fence right behind him.
It hit the back of the head, and I turned around. I think I had hit in the front of the head, and then I kind of remember kind of trying to get up, and at some point seeing like a silhouette of a police officer.
Mistaken for a suspect, Cox was beaten by fellow officers and left on the ground until EMS arrived.
They told me I was pretty unrecognizable.
Cox suffered serious injuries, but none of the officers involved were ever criminally charged for the beating. He says the department tried to cover up what happened, some even harassing and threatening his family.
And it was clear that, these people wanted me gone.
But he wouldn't quit and spent more than 3 decades with the department, rising to the highest uniform rank before leaving to lead the Ann Arbor Police. And now, returning as commissioner.
You don't seem bitter about what happened to you.
It's kind of like a calling, I guess, and that I didn't even know I had. I love helping people. I love meeting all kind of diverse folks and helping them solve problems. So I love to do that, and in this job, you can do that a lot. I'm excited.
Last year, he became the chief in Ann Arbor in the wake of the George Floyd murder and the calls for police reform and defunding. He says it's time.
What do you say? You hear the word defund. I don't know of anything that's ever gotten better in this world when it was defunded. Usually you invest in something, and then that's how it gets better.
Breaking developments in the aftermath of the Karen Reed case.
25 Investigates has a copy of a letter Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, sent to Boston Mayor Michelle Wu and the head of the Post Commission. The letter is scathing. In it, Reed's defense team calls out the head of the Boston Police Department.
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with Karen Reed.
The letter talks about comments Commissioner Michael Cox made to reporters about Reed and then Boston police officer Kelly Deever, who testified in Reed's retrial. Deever spoke about a meeting she had with Cox prior to her testimony. Cox was asked about all of this in July.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case.
People are pretty brazen sometimes.
I don't know. I was struck like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed race? I never have said those words together.
They still do it.
So the fact is,
even in front of people,
it's much to do about nothing.
Jackson's letter states that Cox has been caught in a lie, and not a small one.
They still do it even in front of people.
For the commissioner to suggest that he had nothing to do with the Reed case and Deever defies both logic and leadership. Jackson points to an email Cox received in 2024 from a Boston FBI agent about the Reed investigation. That letter directly references then-Officer Kelly Deever. Jackson also references Cox's official calendar, which lists a meeting with Deever. Deever confirmed that meeting on the stand. Deever also testified that she was mistaken when she told FBI agents that she saw 2 people near Karen Reed's Lexus in the Canton police garage for a, quote, wildly long time.
It was a distorted memory, therefore I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie.
So Jackson wants Post, the agency that oversees police officers in Massachusetts, to launch an investigation of Cox. And Jackson's letter says Cox should be added to the Brady list. That's a list of untruthful police officers. We reached out to the Boston police a short time ago. We just got the letter within the last hour. We'll let you know if we do get a response. For 25 Investigates, I'm Ted Daniel.
Boston's new police commissioner is in office now and looking to deliver on some big promises to the community. Commissioner Michael Cox was sworn in this morning. WBZ visited the neighborhood where Cox grew up and found neighbors are expecting him to follow through.
This is an incredible opportunity.
One that Commissioner Michael Cox knows comes with great responsibility.
I look forward to making sure I live up to that responsibility.
When asked how his experience in 1995 is going to impact who he will be as a city's top cop, he said,
"You have to be cognizant of the worst part of this job, and I am. Right? There's no sugarcoating around it. I know if things go unchecked, we can do bad things. And so because of that, we're going to intentionally make sure
and remind people that these things can happen so that they don't happen.
Cox says he has a lot on his priority list.
We have to talk to officers, we have to go back out in the community and hear what they have to say.
But is still working on the game plan, promising transparency in the process. With an emphasis placed on helping the department look like the communities it serves, we went back to his community of Roxbury to get reaction from residents.
It's going to be equal. He'll break it down through the system. That's what he's going to bring.
Commissioner Cox knows he has a pretty big job ahead of him, but he says he needs your help doing it. Now he's calling on everyone who truly has love for Boston to be a part of the process and to give them feedback along the way.
So today we're going to take a closer look at the Boston Police Department, from gun violence, kids and crime, school safety, and community policing. It's a very big job amid staffing shortages. Joining me now is Police Commissioner Michael Cox. He's a veteran of the department who served in several roles, including the Police Academy, Operations, Internal Affairs, Intelligence, and on patrol. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Wow, it's been a very busy week for you. Lots of items in the news.
Yes, it has. It has.
So Mayor Wu filed an ordinance this past week to change the way that the city is going to handle the area known as Mass and Cass. It gives police the right to clear tents and calls for the opening of a nearby temporary shelter. So the mayor cited an increase in safety concerns. If you would, explain this change in the situation in that area, and how do you think the police are going to now respond?
Well, if it passed, first of all, if it gives us the opportunity to, one is have people remove the tents and tarps. When particularly in Mass and Cass, when those tents and tarps are up, unfortunately, people use those as a shield to actually do criminal acts, to prey on the people who actually live down there, whether it's through selling drugs or all kind of other activities that occurs. We only have so many rights, constitutionally, and we just can't go through and look through people's things and things of that nature to capture. Even more importantly, if the city can provide people actually shelter and get them services, whether it's mental health services or substance abuse services, that's the goal of what we're trying to do in general. I anticipate that once the cover of darkness is kind of pulled back, the area will get much better, and more importantly, those people who have bad acts on their mind will move on. People are pretty brazen sometimes, and they still do it even in front of people. We will come up with another plan in the future to see if we can try to address it even more. I just don't know how when you have that many people there now, and they still do that.
Let me ask you, you used to work in the anti-gang violence unit, and yes. Is it true that gangs are using the Carnival Parade as a cover for their activities?
I would say this is an opportunity when they're out amongst so many people and they see other rival people that they haven't seen in a while or in so close proximity, they will maybe take advantage of it as an opportunity to do something or to settle a grudge. And it wouldn't matter if it was the carnival, the marathon, it wouldn't matter what large event it is. If these people come together and they have these beefs, these things happen.
According to the city's police data dashboard, there have been over 70 shootings so far this year, and the overwhelming majority are in Dorchester. An outside observer might conclude that the department's community policing initiative in those neighborhoods is not working.
I certainly wouldn't say that. We are down quite a few, probably over 20 shootings in comparison to what we were last year. And in comparison to probably a 5-year average, we're well below that. The reality is we are a very, very safe city. In comparison to the rest of the country, we are certainly one of the safest in this country. Even amongst our own statistics, we continue to outdo the number of crimes and things of that nature as the year before. This year, our homicides are up a little bit, but our shootings in general are down quite a bit. As our crime statistics is better, each thing is heightened. Social media plays a big part of that. Everyone's a reporter now, not just a normal report, so it gets reported out tremendously. And so we're going to work to try to get to zero at some point, and we're going to keep working. We do need to, pay attention and never become complacent.
Now, last Sunday, 2 officers were attacked in downtown Crossing, and video from that incident shows one officer in a reflective vest being hit and taken to the ground by a group of teens. And on that same day, police responded to 2 fights involving large groups of teenagers near the Boston Common Movie Theater, also in the South Bay Plaza. How is the city dealing with youth violence? I can't imagine a group of teens attacking a police officer.
Yeah, I could imagine that certainly when I was a teenager as well, and it's sad in many ways because it's all kind of young people involved in this stuff. The city spent quite a bit of money this summer making sure people have jobs and giving them opportunities and other activities to be involved in. But I think this is something. I think as the school year begins.
You said that the parents need to step up.
Well, so I did say that, and I'm still going to say that because I didn't get to it, but we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to find jobs, opportunities for the kids. But the reality is, if there's no accountability, particularly if I was a young person, if I had no accountability at home, I don't know what kind of trouble I could have gotten into. I was more worried about, my parents finding out about my activity than I was about anything else. I wasn't afraid of the police. I didn't know anything about the police.
But I was afraid of my parents.
Correct, and disappointing them in the standards that they set. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the young folks we're encountering that seem that they have no accountability. Yeah. They're not even thinking about it. As a matter of fact, that they seem to be very cognizant of the laws and things of that nature. And that's sad. That's a trend I hope we're able to get in front of a little bit here. I'm pretty proud of the officers that work for our department and the partners that we have just here in the city, whether it's the mayor and her team and all our violence reduction management team that we work in the city to work on lowering those. So, as far as the number of people shot in the city, it's a record low. We haven't had this few people, actually shot, and since we began keeping records since the BRIC was formed, as far as my knowledge is concerned, we've been asking the public to help participate and understand that this is not just a public safety issue, it's a community issue, and they've been getting more involved. They've been very helpful in some of our high-profile incidents that we've had, and we've gotten tips and help from them to help resolve some of these issues and hold people accountable. And we're very thankful to all the people in the city to help us keep our rates as low as what they are.
Every single thing.
Correct. In this past year, we have seen, certainly people who have come out and helped us with information to directly, contribute to us holding people accountable for those acts. And we appreciate it tremendously, and it's important. Without the public's help, it's virtually almost impossible for us to solve crimes in this way unless we witness it ourselves. Without the public's help and support, it's almost impossible to do. I'm happy it's happening or starting to occur. I think we spend a lot of time trying to build trust in our community. We've been practicing community policing for a long time here in the city. Well, so it might take years to figure out all of the impact that the pandemic had, but I think it's multiple things. Mental health of everyone's been impacted, regardless of what your baseline was. I think that plays a point, and factor into this stuff. If you're not happy with your life, if you're worried about all kind of issues, and you have a firearm and you get into an argument, everything is magnified in some way, and I think that attributed to a lot of the violence out there. The unknown in the world, the unknown in people's families, the unknown around that, it creates a great deal of anxiety and stress in everyone under normal conditions, never mind pandemic conditions. I know, one of the things probably not talked about is probably the lack of enforcement. We went through a period where, I'll be quite honest, there was probably less enforcement around police officers because we weren't actively trying to community police and build ties and trust because, one, we didn't want to be around people because we didn't want to get sick, or more importantly, make other people sick. And so that isolation leads to bad things. As humans, we're not meant to be isolated, and we went through a long period where we did it on purpose, and we isolated families from each other. And then, there was a consequence to some of those things. So the combination of all of those things, plus other factors, which I'm not smart enough to even figure out, I think led a long way to maybe making violence, the go-to for a lot of people. I think particularly now in Boston, because we've come out of it, because we are actively trying to go back to our roots around community policing, engaging the public more, being around more people, bring more partners involved. as a community to resolve these issues. I think as a community we are resolving those issues. We've had a street outreach team for a while, and you might have seen the benefit of that around the Mass and Cass area in general. We do work with so many different partners, whether it's a formalized committee or name, that's not as important, but the fact is behind the scenes we work with so many people in the city side around issues and problems around the quality of life in our city, and more importantly around violence and crime in general, and how do we address it, because I think their partnership on dealing with the back end on why these things happen are really important to make sure that they don't happen again in the future. Part of our end is really about holding people accountable for the crimes, and I think we're fairly good at that with partnership and cooperation with so many people. Boston's a wonderful city, and I think people get fed up with stuff, and they want to make it make sure it stays the best city in America. So people are participating more because they're tired of seeing, things that they don't believe are appropriate in their neighborhoods and their communities. No, that's an excellent question, and I want that number to be zero as well. But like in any industry out there, this is a theory of law of diminishing returns. The lower, the number it gets, the more difficult it is to decrease it. And we're trying. We are trying to be as inventive as possible. We're trying to partner with as many people as possible and get the good ideas from people about how we can go about doing that. We spare no expense when it comes to crime in the city, particularly around violent crime, or between partnerships between our local partners, our state partners, our federal partners, and then also trying to trace where did this come from. So I don't want to give the impression as though we don't, we have a fair number of police officers. We're nowhere near the amount that we are assigned that we could have or should have in some ways, because hard time attracting people to take the job, to take the exam, to come on our job. And we're working on that. And hopefully when people see this, if you want to help the public and give back in so many ways to the city, please take an exam and come join our force, because we have openings. Enough of that advertisement, but the point is that we are down, but the fact is that crime is, particularly violent crime, has been in the same areas for the city for a long period of time, and we kind of know what those areas are, and so we make sure that those areas have officers that we are try to be in the right places at the right time. But more importantly, there's always a partnership around this. We are trying to work with our community partners to make sure that the data matches up with their concerns are, what their priorities are for the police. And I think the more we do that, the more we ask for their help, and the more that they see the benefits of this partnership, I think the better off we all are, and it kind of begets more community, it begets more good behavior, it starts to become a community where there's just less and less crime, because everyone has a vested interest in making sure we're all safe. Yeah, and I don't want to blame the news media, but the fact is that it's a different world where social media and clips and there's so many people to get the information from these quick things that are put out there. Our numbers are the best that they probably have ever been, maybe in the history of our city, period. And yet there's still cries out there that this is unsafe and people are unsafe. There's sometimes a disconnect between real crime statistics and people's fear of that. And that fear is driven by sometimes media, what's shown over and over again, what's emphasized over and over again. Sometimes I would like to, they report out about all the good that's happened in a day, as opposed to scanning, the whole region to just talk about all the negative that has happened in that one day, because the good by far outweighs all the negative. But that's the world we live in now. It's this much smaller place because of the media. And sometimes when there's nothing good, negative, I should have said, when they don't really report out on the good, all you do is report out on the negative, and it can seem as though it's an extremely negative world and place we're living in. And the reality is that statistically speaking, we're better now than we've probably been at any time. Talking about that, letting people be aware of that, maybe will defeat some of the impact of that, but social media is a very powerful thing, and particularly with young people and people in general. And so I'm not really sure how you undo that. I just try to tell the story of who we are as a department and what we're trying to do in the city and the results that are happening as a result of that. Hopefully people will start to understand and feel better about this community we live in our city, because it's a wonderful city.
The beacon, the pull, to get the feelings, what you gotta kill with the fun, what you gotta hate with the fear, what you gotta make go away, what you gotta make it just.
Wow, so we have a lot of goals. One of the main goals is trying to make sure that we have officers to fill some of these vacancies that we have, and engaging the public and getting them to understand that we are a service industry and that we give back to the public. I mean, that's all that we do. And trying to enlist more help for people who want to help others and want to give back, and get them to take that exam and join our ranks, because we need that. Create new partnerships and actually reach out to other areas of the city, just to make sure that we have a presence in all our neighborhoods, where, when I say a true community, where they trust the police and the police, have a relationship with all the residents in these areas. And so we have a ways to go as far as that's concerned too. And so, we have a lot of goals, and I don't know. I mean, that's up to the public to decide. I do know this, is that, that was a period of time when we were probably at the highest point of homicides and shooting victims. And when I say high, it's probably 5 to 6 times higher than what we have today. We probably didn't have as much trust in the community. We weren't practicing community policing back then. I think, looking back on history, I mean, when you look back, you really have a 20/20 vision on what occurred. Apologizing for the wrong, that clear wrong that occurred back then, is a no-brainer, and I don't even think it's that brave. It's just common sense. And for me, I was born here, I was raised here, I understand the conditions. I was a brand new officer back at the time when that first came on. For me, seeing that documentary, being reminded of some of the incidents, it was just a no-brainer that we should apologize for our behavior. It doesn't cost anything to apologize, but yet it means a lot to the people that are impacted for it. And so, even going forward, I think that, I wish we were less sorry about the mistakes that we made less mistakes so we didn't have to apologize. But when we do, I think it's important that we do apologize, because the impact that we have on people is so important, and we're not here to have a negative impact. We're only here to help. And when we don't help, we should apologize for it, make sure we fix that issue, and then make sure that we go about helping from that point on. And the police department is a total 180 of what it was then. It is a total different place, from leadership to the officers that come on, to the goals and priorities that we have in general. You can see it in so many different ways. Hopefully you can even see it in our leadership. That's what I hope that people walk away with from that.
We're 16 stone.
That was certainly before most. I don't think there's very few people that were even on this job back in that period. And the fact is, it is a much different place. And there's different district attorneys, there's different mayors, there's different governors. We are a different place. And so no, I would not know where to, revisiting that. We've already learned from the mistakes of the past, and hopefully you see it every day.
Wow. That is all I can say right now. First of all, thank you, Mayor Wu. I've been so impressed with your leadership as mayor. I've been so impressed with your commitment to all the residents of Boston, and making sure no section of the city, no person is left behind. Thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to working in the future to make sure that the police department reflects everything that you want the city to be.
It's not just one way.
To come home and be able to lead in this department, in this city, to come to a place where I grew up, where I was raised, where I was an officer, where I raised my family. This is an incredible opportunity. And with all great opportunities comes great responsibility. And I look forward to making sure I live up to that responsibility. We have to actively engage with the community, because in order for us to be successful, that's the path to get there. We need to come together and successfully change how we police. To do this, we'll be looking to partner with the community and make this a reality through listening, through partnership, through figuring out better ways to serve the public under the conditions that we're living in today. I and the mayor certainly are in line in this vision. We're going to make sure that every member of our department is supported, has all the tools that they're needed to be successful and safe. That we'll hold each member of the department accountable for what we ask them to do. But more importantly, we will support them as they meet the community where they are to figure out how it is that they want us to please. I want to thank the commission that hired me. You did a tremendous process of figuring out what it is that the community wanted from us. There was a great deal of talk about transparency, accountability, procedural justice, equity, and inclusion. In our path forward, these will be the heart of everything that we're going to try to do with the police department. Similar to all of us, and I'm going to include myself in this, the department has from time to time failed. It's stumbled, fallen, occasionally, throughout history. The department, like many of us, has gotten up and actually tried to find a path forward and been successful through whatever it was they went through at that time. And we are at a different time right now. And I'm quite confident that we will meet the challenge ahead of us. We are resilient, and we made change happen before, and we'll do it again. Since I was announced to be the 44th Boston Police Commissioner, there's been a great deal of talk about the incident that happened 27 years ago. And while this incident is absolutely informs who I am, it doesn't define me. I've worked to change policing since that incident occurred, and I will continue to do all I can to do it, to make sure that no black or brown person or any individual, no matter what their gender identity or race, is the victim of any kind of unconstitutional policing. I unfortunately have a unique perspective on this, but that perspective makes me more committed in this area. We pull each other up when we're down, and we stand on the shoulders of people around us when we need a boost. Growing up, I was fortunate that I had parents, two parents, that fled Jim Crow South to get away from the laws there, to basically have a better life for their family. And they came to Boston, Roxbury in particular, to do that. I learned resiliency from them. I learned that what's important in life, you have to stand up to people and deal with things if you want to be successful and actually achieve something. This resilience that I talked about, it's an environment that creates it. It's not what creates this environment. It's not an individual. It's about the people coming together. Support, respect, and truly caring about people are at its roots. Love of individuals in our life and love of purpose that we dedicate ourselves to. My story is not special. The reality is we're all resilient in some way, shape, or form. Every day, you all, people in this city, people in this state, fight their own battles and persevere. And they usually do it not only through inner strength, but from support of others. I'm here to say that as people struggle and we have battles throughout this city, that the Boston Police Department is going to be here to support them in any way possible. Our officers have a difficult job, and they're doing a great job currently. Boston has one of the lowest crime statistics in the country for a major city. That being said, one person who's victimized is too many. So we'll always work to make sure that we're trying to lower crime and eliminate it as much as possible. And we'll do everything within our power to keep crime low. We'll work with the District Attorney's Office, U.S. Attorney's Office, and all our law enforcement partners to make sure that we're policing not only in the right way, but we're doing it in a way that impacts the community in the best way. What we can't forget is to get input from the community on how those plans might impact them, what's important to them, what do they need to feel safe and be safe. And that's what we're going to go about doing. This is a day full of hope, even though I look pretty somber because I'm about to cry, I feel like. Right? Because we're going to try to reimagine police, but reimagine it in a way different than maybe some of the rhetoric that you might have heard. We're going to be better, we're going to be stronger, we're going to build off the strengths of every individual that works there. We're going to reach out and make contacts with the community in a way like we did before. I have great hope that we're going to do quite well because I have great hope in the men and women that do this job. As we move forward, we promise that we're going to try to be truly equitable and inclusive. We'll work to ensure that the department looks like the communities we serve so we can always police in a community-friendly way. With that said, I ask everyone who loves the city to please join us in helping move the Boston Police Department forward. Whether you're an academic institution, law enforcement agency, the public, we ask you to join us, give us feedback on how we can be better, and work with us as we try to certainly face the challenges that the city has and actually serve you the way you need to be served. I'm sure I will see you out in the streets. Feel free to say hello to me, but more importantly, say hello to our officers. They need that hello, right? So thank you very much.
I'll ask Michael Bryan's question that I know he has looming in that head of his. Commissioner Cox is in the news yesterday. You filed a
I heard
Brady
yesterday.
You sent him a little note.
Yeah. A little note, okay?
Yeah.
Possibility he could be added as what we call a defendant?
I've said, Linda, many times when I've been asked this question, and I've been somewhat coy and pretty close to the vest about who we intend to focus our attentions on, but I've said over and over, no one and nothing is off the table. And I will say that in answer to this question. Nothing is off the table. It is a hell of a revelation that we just found out. We, as the communal we, right, the royal we, all of us, have just found out concerning Michael Cox. Very, very troubling information about his candor to the public, candor to his constituents, candor to his own police force, candor to the people that he's supposed to serve. And that troubling information needs to be brought to the attention of those to whom he reports. And so that's why I pinned the letter that I did.
And just for those who may not know what that letter was about, it had to do with former officer Deeeeever, never say Deeeeever, and what interaction the commissioner had with her or did not have with her prior to her testimony. Just do the right thing, which of course I'm upset that he stole my tagline. But did he talk to her? Did he not talk to her? And I think you described it in the letter as has been caught in a lie, and not a small lie.
Correct.
About his contact with her prior to her testimony. I've never used the words Karen Reed in a sentence. I mean, he went so over the top to deny any connection that when you did catch him, it's just blatant.
Right. That's exactly right. It's the chutzpah that's so galling. Like, just say no comment. If you feel like you're about to step on the third rail and get electrocuted, just say no. I know he wasn't expecting the question. You could tell by his reaction. Somebody asked a very pointed question. What do you think about this allegation that came out in court? At least get your ducks in a row. That's the first note for a potential politician or somebody in that position. But nope, in Boston, nope, nobody can touch me. I'm going to say exactly what I want to say, and no one, especially you people, to his constituents, are going to question me about it. Well, guess what? There are some questions, and there are some people out there who are going to ask those questions, and we're asking them.
Yeah, the arrogance is outrageous.
That's right. That's exactly the right word for it, Michael. It's just complete abject arrogance, and you have to do. Look, if you're going to hold that position, it's a lauded position, a storied position, the head of the Boston Police Department. Are you kidding me? That is a storied position. Be better and do better. Just tell the truth. Show some fealty. Show some commitment to your community members and some fealty to the truth. And if you don't, someone just might call you out.
Like Officer, don't call me Deeeeever, do they? I don't know, but it almost didn't matter. And it sounds to me like now we know where she got her testimony from, at least to me. And again, I'm not asking you for comment. I'm just telling you, as a member of the sitting public here, who at 6 o'clock at night has to do a show every night, that's how I felt. I thought it was an outrageous moment in court from her, and everyone else saying, trying to make the defense appear like they were causing her to commit perjury was also outrageous. Well, guess what, people? She got caught,
And were you surprised at all by that testimony and her demeanor, Alan? Because I've never seen anything so horrible in my life.
No, I'd love to be able to say, oh no, I expected that to come. Absolutely no way did I expect that. I had no idea that this young lady, this woman, would comport herself the way that she did on the witness stand. It was, I mean, you could see, but from our interaction, that I was sort of taken. I was back on my heels a bit. I didn't expect that she was going to be incredibly friendly. I didn't think that there was going to be a friendliness, a friendly tone, because she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to testify. But I thought she'd at least tell the truth. I mean, I've got the receipts. I'm staring at a report that has her words in it, written by FBI agents who took an interview, and I was somewhat gobsmacked, the same that everybody else was, and I thought, well, okay, if you want a sword fight, you've pulled out your best weapon. Let's go.
And then she mentions FBI after the Judge Canoni was like, you can't mention that agency here. They don't exist. There's some
organization.
Some organization. Yeah, organization. Right?
Okay, one more question on her. I gotta get your take on this. Do you think she came up with that memory issue, or it was given to her?
It was so outrageously stupid, quite frankly. I'm looking for a better word, for a more educated word. It was just dumb to try to say that you have a false. You're sitting on a witness stand as a professional witness. That's what you do for a living. You're a professional witness. You serve the community, you serve the public, you solve crimes, you catch the bad guys, supposedly, and then you come to court and you testify professionally. They're taught how to testify. And as a professional witness, the best she could come up with is, I suffer from false memories. What? So, Linda, your look, that's exactly the look. I wish I had been able to do that. But I'm standing with a camera in my face. I've got to comport myself with some sort of.
Right. I can do this. You couldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, wait a minute, did I just hear you correctly? You suffer from false memories? That's your excuse? So no, I was not expecting that, Michael.
Wow. And then, of course, you nailed her by saying, that's your reputation, right? Your job is to testify in these cases. And, of course, everybody at that point knew. Everybody knew that she's done. This girl is done. She will not be a cop. She may be a target security guard, but she's done. And sure enough, she's done. So, yeah.
We know what you were feeling because it was so outrageous and it was so ridiculous and it was so terrible and it was so over the top. And obviously the jury got it too, which is the most important thing. Sometimes I tell people, if you're over the top with your testimony, the jury's sitting there, they're regular peoples. They get it,
They are far from stupid. I've often said, I say to juries a lot of times that in a closing argument, that if the average age on a jury is some 42 years old or something, there's 560 years of living experience sitting in that box. You're smarter than any one person in this courtroom, including the judge, bless his or her heart. I never underestimate the cleverness, the brilliance, the thoughtfulness of a jury. The minute you underestimate that, that's the minute you're pretty much cooked as a lawyer. And I thought the same thing with her. I like a good battle, like any lawyer. We're all A-type personalities. We get into it. I get it, but I take no pleasure in somebody's demise. And I knew that she was circling that proverbial drain during her testimony. And I thought, you can stop this. You can stop this. I'm trying to help you stop this. Just knock it off and tell the truth. Say what you saw, say what you heard, give me your percipient witness perception of what happened and what didn't happen. And she just wouldn't. So I don't know where it came from, but you can only take it so far. I knew the jurors were not going to buy that. It's not something that I had to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm returning key. I have nothing to do with it.
Push it in.
I have nothing to do with it. I didn't even know this person was associated with the case. I have an organization, Philip. 3,000. We support all
Voices in my head. I'm going in shock. I'm reaching for the clock, but the music. Y'all got issues, bro.
We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I have nothing.
He fell back out.
I was in the state of Michigan.